right? And what's that wind between your wings? Oh, we're going to talk about that today. What is that heroic energy that inspires us, moves us, and where does that come from? Today, the talk is Imaginating Our Sacred World. Now, before you Google it, it's probably not there. But I don't want to just talk about imagining our sacred world. I want to talk about imaginating it, actively co-creating as an important key participant and the unfolding of the world as Spirit is being called, is calling us, is calling through us, is calling with us, is all around us, is in us, is, oh, I'm giving you the conclusion, but let me back up so you know where we're going. Imaginating. Many of us are in a class. It's a book by Birthing a Greater Reality, A Guide to Conscious Evolution, and it's by Unity minister Robert Brummett. In this book, he introduces many of us. This is a guy I've read a long time ago, but I'm starting to appreciate him in a whole new way as a mystic, a 20th century spiritual, aware person. I like a mystic, but a mystic that was keyed into new spiritual insights through the understanding of a new breakthrough in science and new understanding of the evolution of our planet, of our earth, of our world, of us as beings, as this very flow of spirit. And his name was Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. People know? Yeah, okay, a lot of hands. At least we've heard of him. But but it's kind of a dense thing. And a short piece of his story is he wrote in the 1920s and 1930s about this consciousness, this evolution of consciousness, this new understanding of the role of a human being and their co-creative potentiality and energy in the world system and the unfolding of the very world. And his superiors, he was a religious order, they said, no, if you put that out, they're going to roast you. So just keep writing, just keep learning, and put the stuff aside. So posthumously, when he died, he had an assistant, and she grabbed all his writings and went off and published it all, and it was like just ignited our imagination and our understanding of what's going on. And one of the things he said, this is a piece I love, he talked about this, and here's a whole story, billion years of unfolding. And he talked about this thing, it's not an energy from outside that's making the evolution, the creation of the world. It's actually an infusion of spirit right into the system itself, so that the energy is coming out of the system. It's unfolding upon itself. It's expressing itself in this sacred way. And the first layer, the first great layer, he said, was the layer of this materiality, things that came together in wondrous ways. For example, there's this third planet from this star in a constellation in a spiral galaxy, and it showed up. And the first layer, he called it a physiosphere, or a material sphere, or this sphere, if you will. So imagine like an energy sphere all around us. And this sphere, this becoming, this great creative just explosion was all in the material. And it wasn't like it wasn't doing anything. It was volcanoes exploding and materials being made and atoms and particles and chemical reactions and all this stuff. It was just, wow, billions of years of creation. And it wasn't like something out here, some God, some divine being out here. It's like spirit getting right into it and playing and manifesting. And then, if that wasn't cool enough, billions of years of this unfolding of spirit on this planet, third from a star, something else happened, a second phase. And it's just so miraculous. It's marvelous, right? And all of a sudden, life showed up. And Teilhard called that sphere, the next sphere on top of that sphere, he called a biosphere, or a sphere of life. And it's enmeshed with the material sphere, but it was something new, life. And then again kicked off another just spiritual, sacred explosion of life. And billions of years of all sorts of life forms that show up, like dinosaurs. I was like, this is one of my earliest memories, 5 or 6 years old, in Chicago. We went and filled up the car at a Sinclair gas station. Remember those with the dinosaur? Yeah. And it was like if you filled up for an extra 50 cents or something, a lot of money, you could get a little green dinosaur. And I was like, Dad, please get me one of those dinosaurs. And it was one, he got me one. And it was one of my favorite toys. I mean, I was just a dinosaur. What is this thing? And I'd walk it around everywhere I went. Dino the dinosaur. I loved, billions of years of life forms. And now, with the science we have now, and this is what Teilhard de Chardin did. He was a paleontologist, and he was studying these life forms and finding bones. And it was at that time where not only we were discovering all these ancient critters, that we were finding the bones of the early hominids, the early predecessors, the run-up to our human beingness, our Homo sapiens. And he was right in the middle of this experimentation, of these discoveries and writing papers. And so they were like, I want to write papers about how humanity came on board, and I want to write more about this. And his superiors went, well, just write it down. Take your time. Because he was just, exploding with enthusiasm. And again, posthumously, they published all this, right? But here was his insight. And you know where this is going. After billions of years of life in this physiosphere, which I'm going to call the life sphere, right? So first you had the material sphere, all this beautiful material, and then you had the sphere of life. Now, again, we've kicked it off on a whole new, we're running again. And spirit, once again, it's not like necessarily spirit's going, I'm going to do this and that, but it's like spirit dives in, infuses itself right into the activity of things. And Teilhard calls this radial energy. It's like from the heart out. It's being directed by love. It's being directed by creativity. To me, I think it's spirit wanting to play. Let's see what else we can do. Let's move along in this re-evolution towards this greatest event, towards the end game, which Teilhard called the omega point where we're going. What is it? How did he define it? Well, he's a little silent on that. But we know it has to do with this process of unfolding, sacred unfolding. And so we get yet about 200, 300, we don't know, we're figuring this out, say 300, 400,000 years ago. Something came on board, something evolved in a new way, and it was humanity. And humanity was self-aware, and it was conscious. And Teilhard calls this a sphere of consciousness, material life, the consciousness sphere. Well, he called it, after a Greek word, which was nous, and in French it was nous. So he called it the noosphere. And you can try that and impress your friends at a cocktail party. But really, it was about a consciousness sphere. And in the consciousness sphere, here's what's really interesting. It invites in the fact that the consciousness, the way it shows up is through the human beings being self-aware and growing in consciousness. And so if spirit is diving in and unfolding this next levels, where is spirit diving into to co-create? It's in us. And in this consciousness sphere, this next great movement of this unfolding, and you might even think, if words help, at first it was a planet, a material planet, third from a star. And then life came, and now it's an earth. It's a mother. It's a living being. We talked about on the feast of Francis of Assisi the other day, the sense of brother sun and sister moon and mother earth. It's living, a living being, with heartbeat. And again, being infused with spirit, showing its way out, pushing, and exploding outward in all sorts of playful possibilities. And once again, now we're in the consciousness sphere. Now, what's interesting, the conscious sphere, if we went from a planet to an earth, a living earth, now we're in a world. We're in a world that's on Mother Earth, that's in a planet. And we're teasing them apart to talk about them, but they're, of course, totally enmeshed, just like we all have a material aspect to us, and we all have a living aspect, and we all have a level of consciousness. It's the all of us, that's in all these pieces. And what I love about a world, life is world, but world implies culture. And it involves in unity. For some of you are newer to unity, but we have this sense we call the 12 powers of a human. And you see why these 12 powers are so important, because this unfolding, this next evolution is an evolution of consciousness. It's happening through us. And so we want to align with the highest and best possibilities that are inherent to the 12 powers of our humanity. 12 powers like imagination, like right understanding, like faith, like the power to make things, like a key one, and it's the center one because it's right here in the center of us, love, wisdom, strength to create, and the ability to let go and allow to be. All these, will, right judgment, all of these things come online. And today, I want to talk about, really focus on the power of imagination. Because you see, in the world as it is, let me lead into this thing of the power of imagination, going through a process here. And in the power of imagination, and again, let's talk about imaginating. Because it's not just the power of imagination, I can imagine. I want to talk about when we get infused with that spiritual energy, that radial energy, as Teilhard calls it, that unfolds within us and then moves out from us in a trajectory into the world, into this evolutionary process. Think about this. We have been invited in by the divine, the creator of the universe, to say, see all these billions of years of creation? Yeah, well, now I want you to join me. So help me out here. Let's do this together. Let's play. Are we up for it? Sometimes I wonder. Because here's the thing about co-creation. We were also given will. And we have to, oh my gosh, we need to hold this energy of imaginating with loving embrace. Because what we can, because the thing is about imagining, you can imagine a lot of things. But just because we imagine it or think it, that doesn't mean it manifests. What happens is we hold it, we imagine it, and then we put our emotional energy behind it. We put our love behind it, our embrace, our sense of the goodness, our sense of the whole, our sense of the joy, our sense of the play, our sense of I'm here to be a co-creator with the divine for a world that's good, that's beautiful, that's true, that's just, that has mercy, that's compassionate, that's a loving embrace, that sees the goodness of all and expresses that out in new ways of unfolding. We can imagine, we can put that energy, and what we imaginate is going to show up aligned with those energies. Or we can be spiteful and hateful. And not that getting angry is wrong, I'm not saying that, but we can live in an energy of anger and unforgiveness and you can feel that, right? I'll just put it in my facial expression. Yeah, right. That energy, if we imaginate with those energies, guess what we get? Yeah. What's that? We get those energies back. And we see a lot of that showing up in the world, do we not? We see people imaginating a great way to do destruction. We see imagination for violence. And peace, by the way, is not a matter of not having conflict. That's not reality, right? It's a matter of having conflict in a way where it's like, ooh, good, conflict. We're teasing ideas apart. We're seeing two different ways. How can we find a new way and a new synthesis of a new vision by putting this tension, this creative, co-creative conflict together? Ooh, we can imaginate from a place of creative conflict. Or we can say, I'm in conflict, and we can imaginate violence. Do both. And the Spirit said, I am giving you the energy to join me and the free will to choose. But here's what Spirit says. I'm enfolding in you, and I want you to unfold with me in the energies of we sang the song last week. These are the gifts of the Spirit. Love, joy, and peace, right? Use those. Imaginate with that energy. Put that energy into it. So imagination, part of being in this consciousness sphere, in this co-creative sphere, in this unfolding of spirit sphere, here's some steps. I want to suggest to you ways that we can imaginate a new world that brings us into new levels of the earth, moving in the world and this whole creative process, moving in a way that is imbued with the sacred. Ooh, and it feels good when we get there. The first one is, and boy, my gosh, and those in Unity for a long time, you can probably guess what the first one is. Go to the silence. Meditate. Get quiet. Get that sense of a resonance. Just get that sense of connection. So that when I'm acting out, when I'm starting to, I'm going to go imaginate now. I'm just going to imagine. I'm in co-creative mood. What am I going to imagine? What do I want? What do we want as a community? What do we need as a bigger community, as a country, as a world? What do we want to create? What we get to be part of this experience. What is it? But go to the sense where we resonate right there in our heart space with the divine energy. Find that resonant field. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I go, that imagination, that meditation, I really connected. And then other days I go, yeah, I sat for 20 minutes. What a waste, And even then, even when that happens, I get up and I go, wait, something happened. Something happened. And even though I might have had monkey mind, still, do you know this? People are nodding. You know what I'm talking about. Even then, just by saying I am open and I am receptive, I'm going to move to this moment of silence, even if I didn't do it perfect or wasn't right or wasn't the best, still, I was available for Spirit to work. Yeah, lots of, nodding. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So when we imaginate this new world, when we use our power of imagination to bring on the sacred, first, we have to be connected. And step number 2, it has to do with play. Really. In order to imagine the next possible things, isn't it fun to say, I want to imagine some great creative. I'm a painter. Well, go to painting galleries and just go watch videos on painting, see what great artists have done. Go look at different examples, just be playful about it. It's like, what else is out there? What can I experience if I want to play, a sport, go watch some professionals play, go get inspired by other people who are doing interesting things in your field, if you, any kind of art, any kind of, I get so, even as a minister, sometimes just going to theater, go see, how do we make a room? How do we share our stories in such a way that we understand ourselves in a deeper, more profound way? What is that? What is the art? What is the way? If you're a musician, go watch music. It's like, how did they do that? What was that bridge between the sea and the, all these kind of things. Go play. To create the world we want to create, we got to get a little lighthearted here. We got to get in that energy of joy and have some fun, because all these things, the field of co-creativity, okay, Star Trek, okay, that's maybe nerdy to some of you, but I just love how they're constantly over the years exploring new possibilities and new energies. Play. Number 3, between play and being connected, gratitude. We stay in a place of gratitude. So that for all things we see, for all things, did I mention all? For all things we see, they're working for us and not against us. All the things come into life are potentialities for our unfolding, our understanding in new depths. And when we stay in a place of like, well, that was for me and that was for me, but I can't believe that thing happened to me and I'm just really mad at the universe and blah, blah, blah. It cuts us off at the knees. things are folding for us. And that doesn't mean we have to like them. And that doesn't mean they're easy. And that doesn't mean they're not scary sometimes. But we can stay in gratitude for our life unfolding for us and stay in that energy, that energy of transformation. And then, once we're in that place of gratitude and we're playing, we got lots of ideas, we've gone to theater, we've gone to play, we've gone on the internet, we've taken a class, we got really excited, we're in that soft place, then we visualize. Then we go and we visualize what we want for our community, what we want, for ourselves, for our family, and especially what we want for our planet, for our earth, for the world, And you think, well, I have more say-so on what's going to happen in my family or thing. It's like, but here's the thing. This unfolding energies of the entire world, all of it is contingent on the unfolding of each one of us as individuals and as those communities, as we allow Spirit, that radial energy, to flow through us and express in new ways. And if we can say, well, that's a pretty big world, a pretty big planet, we can start with our 4 acres right here and have. Our Earth Care team, and I see a lot of you, has been spending quite a bit of time imaginating the possibilities of what this space, what this earth space, what this living space, what we call our outer sanctuary, maybe there are congregants too, right? There was a little bobcat that walked through here the other day. We were saying prayer. It's like, we got a bobcat in our community. Imagine that. And our owls, I think, will be back anytime. Yeah, so imagine allowing our minds to open up to a greater sense of what's possible. I was thinking the other day, it's so funny. I went to see Miss Diane's parents, our family in California. So I was gone for like 4 or 5 days. And I went down, and it's easy, Bellingham to Oakland. And then I took Bart out to Pleasanton. And then I had to take a bus. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if there was some kind of like super train, like an express train or a fast one, and it would go through the redwoods and stuff. And then I opened the paper the other day, front page of the Bellingham thing. Did you guys see this? The Pacific Northwest receive $1 billion in federal funding for a new clean hydrogen hub. Did you see that? I mean, we're imaginating. And then they showed this train, this hydrogen train. I said, well, where's that? Is it around here somewhere? And it goes, no, it's going to be on the Stadler Rail, which is an Amtrak Altamont corridor in California. Guess when I just told you this trip? Guess what's the train route that I take to go to see my family in the Central Valley? It's the Altamont corridor. 3 years from now, I get to take an energy clean hydrogen train out to see my family. It's happening. It's unfolding in consciousness. And it has to first, this is just a drawing. We got to imagine it first, draw it first, see it. Stephen Covey, you remember that great book, 7 Habits for Successful People? He says, start with the end in mind. We gotta see it. You gotta visualize it. You gotta say, this is what I want. And I say, well, something like that. Make an idea. How about a hydrogen train that runs here on a new clean hydrogen thing that's gonna reduce tons of global greenhouse gases, lower the CO2 emissions, support changing our planet, our world into something that's more sustainable with clean energy that supports all the communities. We just imagine it and boom, it shows up. And so, I want to ask you guys, and you can talk to me or anyone on the Earth Care Committee here. What can we imagine for our offering to the city of Bellingham? In the county of Whatcom. What can we, in our imaginating, start with our own natural environment to allow it to expand? How do we've had solar people come in here and talk to us of different ideas on how to put solar up and be energy neutral spiritual center. How would that be? People have come and said, and shown pictures. Here's how we can do it. We can put solar in the parking lot. We can imaginate this. We can really get a vision of how we can be this sustainable, green, if you will, beautiful, resonant community. And we can start in our homes. We can start with our greater community. And the energy we put out resonates out into the greater communities and into the planet. Because what we put out adds to the field of play. So when other people are coming to play, we can see these ideas and we co-create. We co-share these ideas. We get inspired by each other. And this is how it keeps unfolding. So we visualize. And then whatever we visualize, this is part 5, we have to ask, is it of service? Is it for, and it can be for our good too, but we always ask, how is it for service? How do we unfold our life and what we imaginate, is it of service? And so when we're imagining new things for our own personal life or for our greater community or for the world in response to a climate changed environment, we always ask, how do we be of service? Key component. Yeah. And then finally, you're going to love this, we affirm it. Boy, this is pretty unity, is it not? And, I want to say something about affirmation and affirmative prayer, thinking of this way we've been talking. Because when we see spirit, it goes in and there's this radial energy, and then the creation, the co-creation is from the heart, is from a center of love and connection and service, and it's moving out, and the creation goes out, this radial energy. It says that when we want to pray, when we want to connect with the divine, when we want to get in that resonant energy of prayer and a spiritual connection, the energy is from here. We want to connect with it here and take it out, any prayer is good. Seriously, any way to pray is good. And every way to pray is good. But there is a sense that the way I grew up, we prayed from here out. Something out there, do something in here. But what Spirit does is it dives in and it's infused and it's moving out with us, through us, as us. The radial energy is coming right in our own being. The transformation of the world is here in our hearts. It's like right here. And here's the transformation of the world. Oh, God, please help. No, divine. Let's get going. Let's get going. So we affirm. We make an affirmative prayer. What can we affirm? I affirm this. The energy of Spirit is alive in Unity of Bellingham. It is alive. Its co-creative energy is bubbling up into us. It's given us new visions, new sense of being on purpose, new ways of being in compassionate service. Hey, that sounds like our mission statement. Yeah, new ways of being in service. And with a new vision, with inspired vision given from play and understanding and seeing all the fun things, new ways. I affirm this. The divine energy in us, through us, as us, is moving now as a community so that we can transform not only our community here, our greater expansive community, our acreage, but we can be a transformative presence. I affirm this. This is the truth of Spirit. We're a transformative presence in the city of Bellingham to the county of Whatcom. And for all the things in this field of consciousness and the whole things that are touching and being of negative effect, if you will, on the health of the earth, of this field of life, we stand in consciousness and we bless life. And we stand as a community that's willing to stand forward with creative visualization to be part of the energy that transforms not only our city, our county, but our world. We are that. We are big, we are bold, we are courageous, we are strong. We have the faith that can be done. We have the heart of love to be part of this process to transform the world. Amen? Amen. Yeah, we affirm it. It's the truth of our nature. And Teilhard says, in the end, it's all about love. Just we get into that resonance of love. We imagine and we connect it with love and imagination. We put these two together, and the other powers, but we put these two together. Oh, what can happen is stunning. And here's what Brummett ends his book here. This is great. Last paragraph of his book. For those in the class, maybe you've read ahead, but if you haven't, last two paragraphs. He said, Jesus shows us a pathway to this new reality that I'm talking about. His only commandment was this: love one another as I have loved you. Just love. Radial energy. Teilhard says this energy he's talking about, this creative energy, you could call it radial energy, you can call it the power of visualization, or you could just call it love. Love is good. That's it. And Jesus demonstrated this with his life he lived. And now humanity is slowly awakening to the awareness of this transforming power. And in the words of Teilhard de Chardin, the day will come when, after harnessing space, the winds, the tides, gravitation, then we will harness for God the energy of love. And on that day, for the second time in human history, humanity will have discovered fire. Blessings, guys.